On an international flight, the crew had a strange feeling about a young black boy traveling with a white man. Something didn't seem quite right. When one of the flight attendants observed their interactions more closely and noticed a crucial detail about the boy's feet, she immediately informed the pilot, prompting him to land the plane. Comment where you're watching from today, and if you like these stories, don't forget to subscribe. The early morning sun had barely begun to peek over the horizon as Anna Hensley made her way through the bustling airport terminal. At 32 years old, Anna had been a flight attendant for 8 years, and the rhythmic sound of her personal-sized suitcase's wheels against the polished floor was as familiar to her as the back of her hand. The cacophony of airport announcements, muffled conversations, and the occasional burst of laughter from reuniting families filled the air around her. As Anna approached the crew check-in counter, her eyes swept across the commercial passenger area. Amidst the sea of tired faces and rumpled clothing, a flash of vibrant red caught her attention. A young boy, no more than 7 or 8 years old, was spinning and dancing in the queue line. His blue shirt and jeans were unremarkable, but his feet were adorned with a pair of bright red Crocs that seemed to punctuate each of his joyful movements. The boy's infectious happiness was a stark contrast to the generally weary travelers surrounding him. As if sensing Anna's gaze, the child looked up and caught her eye. Without hesitation, he offered a cheerful wave, his face splitting into a wide grin. Anna couldn't help but return the smile, feeling a warmth spread through her chest at this small moment of pure, unbridled joy. However, the moment was short-lived. A white man, presumably the boy's father, leaned down and whispered something into the child's ear. The effect was immediate and jarring. The boy's shoulders slumped, his smile vanishing as quickly as it had appeared. His gaze dropped to his feet, and Anna could see the telltale glimmer of tears forming in his eyes. The man, clearly flustered by this public display of emotion, hastily reached into his sling bag. He pulled out a handful of tissues and began roughly wiping the boy's face, his movements brusque and impatient. "Stop crying," Anna heard him hiss, the words carrying across the space between them. "You're too old for this. What will people think?" Anna felt a twinge of discomfort at witnessing this private moment, but she pushed it aside. After all, she had seen countless family conflicts during her years at the airport. Children crying or throwing tantrums while waiting in line or boarding the aircraft was practically part of her daily routine. With a small shake of her head, she continued on her way to the crew section. The screen at the crew check-in counter displayed Skypath Airlines, flight SKP 412. Anna spotted her friend and fellow flight attendant Sophia, already waiting there. As she approached, Sophia's face lit up with a warm smile. "Morning, Anna," Sophia called out. "Ready for another exciting day in the skies?" Anna chuckled, setting her suitcase down beside her. "As ready as I'll ever be. How about you? Excited for our dinner plans in Buenos Aires?" Sophia's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Oh, absolutely. I've been dreaming about that Argentine steak for weeks now, and don't even get me started on the wine." Their conversation drifted to their plans for their layover as they waited for the rest of the crew to arrive. One by one, their colleagues trickled in, each exchanging greetings and small talk about the upcoming flight. Finally, the captain arrived, his presence immediately commanding attention. He gathered the crew around him for their pre-flight briefing. "Good morning, team," he began, his voice crisp and professional. "We've got clear skies ahead for our flight to Buenos Aires today. Let's go through our standard protocols." As the captain detailed their flight plan and safety procedures, Anna found her mind wandering back to the boy with the red Crocs. She briefly wondered which destination he is headed and what had caused such a drastic change in his demeanor, but quickly refocused on the briefing. After all, she had a job to do. With the briefing concluded, the crew made their way through the expedited security and immigration checkpoints. Anna meticulously checked and double-checked her documentation, ID, passport, and boarding pass. Even after 8 years, she never took these crucial steps for granted. Arriving at the gate a full 90 minutes before departure, Anna immediately immersed herself in her pre-flight duties. She moved through the aircraft with practiced efficiency, inspecting every piece of safety equipment. Life vests were checked and rechecked, Fire extinguishers were confirmed to be in their proper places, and oxygen tanks were verified to be full and functional. In the galley, Anna methodically went through their food and drink supplies, ensuring they had everything needed for the long flight ahead. She wiped down surfaces, organized utensils, and double-checked that all equipment was secure for takeoff. As she moved through the cabin, Anna paid special attention to each row of seats. She made sure every seat had a life vest tucked beneath it, cleaned out any leftover rubbish from previous flights, and ensured that the safety information cards were present and easily accessible in each seat pocket. The familiar routine was comforting, allowing Anna to settle into the rhythm of her work. As she completed her final checks, she felt a sense of satisfaction. Everything was in order, ready for the passengers who would soon be boarding. With one last glance around the cabin, Anna nodded to herself. It was time to welcome their guests aboard flight SKP-412 to Buenos Aires. As the clock struck 8:45 a.m., Anna took her position at the aircraft's entrance, a practiced smile settling onto her face. She smoothed down her uniform, took a deep breath, and prepared to greet the incoming passengers. The familiar announcement echoed through the gate area. Now boarding Skypath Airlines Flight SKP-412 to Buenos Aires. "Good morning," Anna greeted each passenger warmly, her voice clear and welcoming. "Welcome aboard Flight SKP-412 to Buenos Aires. May I see your boarding pass, please?" The steady stream of passengers filed past her, a mix of business people, families, and solo travelers. Anna's experienced eyes quickly scanned each boarding pass, directing passengers to their correct seats with efficiency and charm. As she looked up to greet the next passengers, Anna's breath caught in her throat. There, standing before her, were the man and boy she had seen earlier at the check-in counter. The boy's red Crocs seemed even brighter up close, a stark contrast to his now subdued demeanor. "Good morning," Anna said, her voice softening slightly as she addressed the boy. "May I see your boarding passes, please?" The man wordlessly handed over the documents. Anna's eyes quickly found their seat assignments, 18A and 18B. As she glanced at the names, she caught sight of the boys, Liam Trent. Before she could get a better look, the man swiftly tucked the passes back into his pocket. "You're in seats 18A and 18B, Anna informed them, gesturing down the aisle. "That's about halfway down the aircraft on your right." As they moved past her, Anna couldn't help but follow them with her eyes. She watched as they settled into their seats, the man brusquely instructing Liam on where to put his small backpack. Once the initial rush of boarding had slowed, Anna made her way down the aisle, checking on passengers and assisting with luggage where needed. As she approached row 18, she paused, her attention drawn to Liam. "Is this your first time flying?" she asked gently, kneeling slightly to be at eye level with the boy. Liam looked up at her, his eyes wide, and nodded silently. "Well, that's exciting," Anna said, her smile genuine. "Would you like me to bring you something special later? We have some nice gifts for first-time flyers." At this, Liam's face lit up, a glimpse of the joyful child she had seen earlier returning. "Oh, please, please, please," he begged with a wide grin, turning to the man beside him. "Can I, please?" The man's response was curt and immediate. "No, Liam. Our cabin luggage is already full. We don't want extra things to carry." "But I can carry them. My hand's empty." He rose his open hands, and Anna couldn't help but smile at the boy's spirit. "No, Liam, that's it." Anna watched as Liam's excitement deflated, his gaze dropping once more to his lap. Feeling a twinge of sympathy, she leaned in slightly. "How about I bring you some yummy snacks later instead? Would you like that?" Liam nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. The man looked up at Anna, his expression unreadable. Sensing it was time to move on, Anna straightened up. "All right then, I'll be back later. Enjoy your flight." As Anna continued down the aisle, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the interaction she had just witnessed. But with more passengers to attend to, she pushed the thought aside and focused on her duties. The boarding process continued smoothly, with Anna assisting passengers in finding their seats and storing their luggage. As she passed row 18 again, she noticed Liam clutching the in-flight magazine and safety instruction card, his eyes wide as he studied the pictures. "Dad," she heard him say, his voice small but eager, "can you explain what these pictures mean?" The man, absorbed in his phone, barely glanced up. "Not now, Liam, I'm busy." But Liam was persistent. "Please, I want to know what to do if something happens." Anna watched as the man's jaw tightened, his patience clearly wearing thin. "Liam, I said not now. Just sit quietly and behave." The boy's earlier spark of curiosity dimmed under his father's stern gaze, and he slumped back in his seat, the safety card still clutched in his small hands. As the final passengers settled in, Anna took her position in the crew cabin. The familiar pre-flight announcements began to play over the speakers, and the seatbelt signs illuminated with a soft ding. The plane began to taxi, and soon they were accelerating down the runway. As they lifted off, Anna heard a child's cry from the middle rows. It wasn't the typical wail of an infant scared by the pressure change, but something more distressed. The sound faded as the plane leveled out, but it left Anna with an unsettling feeling she couldn't quite shake. Despite her years of experience and the countless takeoffs she had been through, something about this particular flight felt different. As the seatbelt sign dinged off and she prepared for the in-flight service, Anna couldn't help but cast a worried glance towards row 18, where Liam sat silently beside the man, his red Crocs barely visible beneath the seat in front of him. With the plane now cruising at altitude, Anna and Sophia busied themselves in the galley, preparing for the upcoming meal service. The familiar routine of their work provided a comforting rhythm, loading hot water into thermoses, arranging meal trays, and sorting through the merchandise they would offer during the flight. As Anna was stacking cups onto the service cart, a small movement caught her eye. She looked up to find Liam standing hesitantly at the entrance to the crew area, his eyes darting nervously between her and Sophia. "Hello there," Anna said gently, setting down the cups. "Do you need help with the lavatory door?" Liam shook his head, his gaze dropping to the floor. Anna could see tear marks on the corner of his eyes. She crouched down to meet his eye. "Tell me, how can I help you, young man?" Anna asked gently, but Liam remained silent. Remembering her promise of a tasty snack, she gestured toward him and opened a cabinet in the galley. Pulling out a bag of chocolate cookies, she offered it to him with a smile. "I think you'll enjoy this." Liam took the bag, holding it tightly against his chest. Instead of replying, he pointed toward the empty crew seats behind them. "Can I sit here? I don't want to sit with my dad." "Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie," Anna explained, her voice kind but firm. "But passengers aren't allowed to sit in the crew area. Is everything okay? Why don't you want to go back to your seat?" At the mention of returning to his seat, Liam's eyes widened with what Anna could only describe as fear. He shook his head vigorously, taking a small step further into the galley. Can I stay here with you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Anna exchanged a concerned glance with Sophia. This wasn't typical behavior, even for a child on their first flight. "Liam," Sophia said, crouching down to the boy's level, "you have to go back to your dad, okay? But perhaps we can chat for a little while. Tell me, are you going to meet your mum when we land?" The question seemed to confuse Liam. He looked around the galley area as if expecting to see someone. "Mom, she's supposed to be here. When is she coming?" Anna felt a chill run down her spine. She distinctly remembered seeing Liam at the airport with only the man, no mother in sight. "Sweetie," she said carefully, "we're already in the air. No one else can come on the plane now." Liam's face crumpled at this news. But she has to come. She has to." His voice rose slightly, tinged with panic. "Dad said I'll meet her." Before Anna or Sophia could probe further, the man appeared behind Liam, his face a mask of forced calm. "I'm so sorry," he said, addressing the flight attendants while resting a steady hand on Liam's shoulder. "He's just a bit nervous about flying. It's his first time. He was upset during takeoff, so I told him to go wash his face." Anna nodded, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. The man's grip on Liam's shoulder seemed unnecessarily tight, and the boy had gone completely still at his touch. "Liam," the man said, his voice low and controlled, "did you use the bathroom yet?" Liam shook his head, his eyes fixed on the floor. "Well, go on then," the man urged, giving Liam a gentle push towards the lavatory. Quickly now. As Liam moved towards the bathroom door, he suddenly turned back. Can you come with me? He asked the man, his voice small and frightened. He passed the bag of cookies to him, asking him to hold it for him. The man's expression flickered for a moment, annoyance, frustration. Before settling back into a neutral mask, he let out a long-suffering sigh and accepted the bag from the boy's hand. All right, come on then. As the lavatory door closed behind them, Anna and Sophia exchanged worried glances. Something about the family dynamic felt off, but they couldn't quite put their finger on what it was. Suddenly, a muffled cry came from within the lavatory, quickly masked by the loud whoosh of the lavatory's flush system. When Liam and the man emerged a few moments later, the boy's face appeared freshly washed but undeniably sad. Without another word to Anna or Sophia, they returned to their seats. Anna watched them go, a knot of unease forming in her stomach. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had just witnessed something deeply troubling, but she had no concrete evidence to act on. As she turned back to the galley to continue her preparations, Anna made a mental note to keep a close eye on row 18 for the remainder of the flight. As the flight settled into its cruise phase, the captain's voice crackled over the intercom, confirming the smooth flying conditions he had predicted earlier. Outside, the sky was a brilliant blue, dotted with wispy clouds that seemed to stretch endlessly in every direction. Anna took a deep breath, centering herself before making the announcement for the upcoming meal service. Her voice, practiced and professional, filled the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin our meal service. Please ensure your tray tables are down and your seats are in the upright position. Thank you. With practiced efficiency, Anna and Sophia began to work their way through the cabin with the service cart. They moved methodically, offering food, drinks, and merchandise to the passengers, their actions a well-choreographed dance born from years of experience. As they approached row 18, Anna felt a flutter of apprehension in her stomach. She plastered on her most reassuring smile as she addressed Liam and his companion. "Would you like some lunch?" she asked, her tone warm and inviting. She noticed the cookie bag had already been opened and consumed. Before Liam could respond, a sudden and violent retching sound filled the air. In a matter of seconds, the boy had vomited, the contents of his stomach splattering across the folding table, his jeans, and his distinctive red Crocs. The man beside him almost jumped to avoid the liquid. He clicked his tongue in disapproval, his face a mixture of disgust and confusion. He seemed at a loss, clearly unprepared for this turn of events. As he fumbled in his sling bag for something to clean up the mess, a small packet fell to the carpeted floor. Anna caught a glimpse of it. It looked like some kind of medication, before the man hastily stuffed it back into his bag. "Oh, sweetheart," Anna said, her voice filled with sympathy. She quickly grabbed a stack of thick napkins from the cart. "It's okay, don't worry. This happens sometimes, especially on first flights." She efficiently began cleaning up the mess, wiping down the folding table while the man awkwardly attempted to clean Liam's jeans. The boy sat silently, his face pale and his eyes downcast. "Here," Anna said, handing Liam a few extra air sickness bags. "Keep these close, just in case you feel nauseous again. Would you like to clean up in the lavatory? There are stains on your shoes." Liam nodded weakly, but when the man moved to stand up with him, the boy shook his head. I want to go alone," he insisted, his voice barely audible. Anna and Sophia exchanged a glance before moving their cart forward to make space for Liam to pass. As the boy made his way to the lavatory, Anna couldn't help but notice how unsteady he seemed on his feet. "I'm so sorry about this," the man said, his voice low. "Could I get a bottle of water, please?" Anna nodded, accepting the cash he offered in exchange for the water. "Of course. Is there anything else you need?" The man shook his head, his eyes darting towards the lavatory where Liam had disappeared. "No, we're fine, thank you." As Anna and Sophia moved on to the next row, Sophia leaned in close, her voice barely above a whisper. "Did you notice the vomit?" Anna frowned, confused by the question. "Well, of course, it was hard to miss. No, I mean, did you notice it was pink?" And chocolate? And there was something that looked like a partially digested tablet in it. Anna's eyes widened at this observation. She hadn't paid that close attention to the contents of the vomit. Of course, her focus had been on cleaning up. But now that Sophia mentioned it, she recalled the dropped medication packet. A nagging feeling of unease began to grow in the pit of her stomach. "How did you—" Anna asked Sophia. "How did you notice it?" "Well, the pink really stood out. It was bright and distinct. I know because I've had kids and mums always keep an eye on the color of their, sorry to say, puke. I guess it's just a habit." Before she could dwell on it further, Liam returned from the lavatory, his damp Crocs leaving faint marks on the carpet. As he passed, Anna caught a strong scent of soap, far more potent than what a simple hand-washing would produce. Noticing his unkempt appearance, a wave of pity washed over her. She couldn't help but wonder where the boy's mother was, and why she hadn't boarded the plane. It was clear the man wasn't entirely comfortable or accustomed to caring for the child on his own. When Liam reached his seat, Anna overheard the man speaking to him in a low, urgent tone. "You need to take more of your medicine," he was saying. "You threw up the one from earlier." Liam shook his head, his face scrunching up in distaste. The man's voice took on a coaxing, almost manipulative tone. "If you take it, you'll see your mother very soon. I promise." At the mention of his mother, Liam's resistance crumbled. With obvious reluctance, he swallowed the pills the man handed him, washing them down with a large gulp of water from the newly purchased bottle. "Good boy," the man praised, his voice filled with relief. As Anna continued down the aisle with the service cart, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The pieces of the puzzle were there, but she couldn't quite fit them together. With a heavy heart, she continued her duties, all the while keeping a watchful eye and ears on row 18. As Anna and Sophia completed the cabin service, they made their way back towards the galley. Passing row 18 once more, Anna noticed that Liam was now fast asleep, his head lolling against the window. The sight of the sleeping child should have been innocent, even sweet, but something about it made Anna's skin crawl. She couldn't help but think about the pills the man had given Liam, wondering if they were truly just motion sickness medication or something more sinister. Back in the crew area, Anna and Sophia parked the cart and grabbed their own lunch trays. The familiar routine of a mid-flight break should have been comforting, but Anna found herself unable to relax. As she settled into her seat, her mind kept drifting back to Liam and the strange interactions she had witnessed. Just as she was about to take her first bite, the in-flight phone rang, its shrill tone cutting through the relative quiet of the crew area. Anna exchanged a quick glance with Sophia before reaching for the receiver. "This is Anna," she answered, her voice professional, despite the unease churning in her stomach. "Anna, this is the captain," came the response, the pilot's voice tight with an urgency that immediately set Anna on edge. "I need you to listen carefully. We've just received some disturbing information from air traffic control." Anna's grip on the phone tightened as the captain continued. "A mother has reported her child missing at a police station. She suspects her child has been kidnapped and taken overseas. Airport security cameras captured footage of a black child matching the mother's description, walking through security with a white man and boarding a flight. They're not sure which one." The captain's words hit Anna like a physical blow. Her mind immediately went to Liam, his odd behavior, the man's controlling presence, the medication. It all started to make a horrifying kind of sense. "All planes connected to that gate have been informed to be on the lookout," the captain was saying. "The child is described as a young boy, around 7 or 8 years old, wearing red Crocs." Anna's heart stopped as the captain's description matched Liam perfectly, right down to the distinctive red Crocs. "Captain," Anna interrupted, her voice barely above a whisper. She covered her mouth over the phone. "I think that child is on our plane, seat 18A. His name is Liam Trent." There was a moment of stunned silence on the other end of the line. Then the captain's voice came back, tight with controlled urgency. "Are you certain, Anna?" "As certain as I can be," Anna replied, her mind racing through every interaction she'd had with Liam and the man. "The behavior I've observed, it all fits." "All right," the captain said, his tone shifting to one of decisive action. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to divert to Panama. It's the nearest airport. I need you to maintain absolute normalcy. We can't risk tipping off the suspect. Can you do that, Anna?" "Yes, sir," Anna replied, her training kicking in despite the shock coursing through her system. After ending the call, Anna turned to Sophia, her face pale. In hushed tones, she relayed the situation, watching as her colleague's eyes widened with each word. "Oh my God," Sophia breathed, her hand flying to her mouth. "What do we do now?" Anna drew in a deep breath, steadying herself. "We do our jobs," she said, her voice firm but quiet. "We keep everyone safe and we make sure that boy makes it home to his mother." As they stood there in the galley, the weight of the situation settling over them, Anna couldn't help but think about how quickly an ordinary flight had turned into something so extraordinary and potentially dangerous. She only hoped they could navigate the next few hours without arousing suspicion and bring this ordeal to a safe conclusion. The gravity of the situation weighed heavily on Anna as she excused herself to use the lavatory. She needed a moment alone to process the shocking turn of events. As she closed the door behind her, she caught sight of her reflection in the mirror. The face staring back at her was pale, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and determination. As she splashed some cold water on her face, trying to calm her racing heart, something caught her eye. There, scrawled on the bottom corner of the mirror, in what looked like soap or lotion, were simple words. "Miss Mommy." Anna's breath caught in her throat, the childish handwriting, the poignant message. It could only have been left by Liam. This discovery confirmed her worst fears about the boy's situation and solidified her resolve to help him. With shaking hands, Anna pulled out her phone and quickly snapped a photo of the message. She sent it to the pilot, knowing it could serve as crucial evidence. As she exited the lavatory, she discreetly marked it as out of service to preserve the message. No sooner had she stepped back into the galley than the in-flight phone rang again. The pilot's voice came through, tense but controlled. "Panama police have been informed and are on standby at the airport. We're landing in 30 minutes. Prepare the cabin for landing, but remember, discretion is key." Anna acknowledged the instructions, her mind already racing through the necessary procedures. As she hung up, she heard the captain's voice come over the public address system. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We've encountered unexpected turbulence ahead and unfavorable weather conditions at our destination. For everyone's safety, we've decided to reroute and land at the nearest airport, Tocumen International Airport in Panama. We'll keep you updated on our progress and appreciate your understanding as we prioritize your comfort and security." The announcement triggered an immediate reaction throughout the cabin. Worried murmurs and confused questions filled the air as passengers began to stir, some rising from their seats to look around anxiously. Anna took a deep breath and stepped into the aisle, her expression a composed mask of calm professionalism. She moved toward the center of the plane, where the aisle widened near the emergency exit, pausing occasionally to reassure concerned passengers as she went. "There's no need to worry," she assured them, her voice steady and soothing. "This is just a precautionary measure. We'll be on the ground soon, and I'm sure we'll be back on our way to Buenos Aires in no time." As she looked at row 18, she noticed the man was looking increasingly agitated. His eyes darted around the cabin and he kept checking his watch. Liam was still fast asleep, oblivious to the growing tension around him. A passenger a few rows ahead caught Anna's attention. "Miss, is there something wrong with the plane?" he asked, his voice tinged with worry. Anna felt a pang of guilt for the deception, but she knew it was necessary. "No, sir, there's no issue with our aircraft. We've just received an early warning about some turbulence ahead, and air traffic control has advised us to land as a precaution. Your safety is our top priority." As she finished addressing the concerned passenger, she felt a light touch on her arm. It was the man from row 18, his face a mixture of suspicion and barely concealed panic. "Excuse me," he said, his voice low and urgent. "I couldn't help but notice the weather outside looks perfectly clear. Are you sure there's turbulence ahead?" Anna's heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. I understand your concern, sir, but weather conditions can change rapidly at high altitudes. We're simply following protocol to ensure everyone's safety. The man's eyes narrowed slightly, but he nodded, seemingly accepting her explanation. How long will we be delayed in Panama? He asked. I'm afraid I don't have that information yet, Anna replied, her tone apologetic but firm. We'll know more once we're on the ground. In the meantime, you should prepare for landing. We'll be touching down in less than 30 minutes. As she turned to move back towards the galley, Anna cast one last glance at Liam. The boy was still deeply asleep, his small form curled up in the large airplane seat. The sight of him, so vulnerable and unaware of the drama unfolding around him, strengthened Anna's resolve. She silently vowed to do everything in her power to ensure this child's safety. With a deep breath, Anna continued down the aisle, her mind racing with preparations for the landing and the confrontation that was sure to follow. The next 30 minutes, she knew, would be the longest of her career. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom once more, this time announcing their imminent descent into Panama. Anna took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. She began her final walk through the cabin, ensuring all seats were upright and windows were open, as per landing protocol. As she approached row 18, she saw the man desperately trying to wake Liam. The boy remained stubbornly unconscious, not even stirring as the man resorted to splashing a little water on his face while calling him to wake up. The action drew concerned looks from nearby passengers, with one even speaking up. "Hey, maybe you should just let the kid sleep," the passenger suggested, his brow furrowed with worry. Anna quickly intervened, her voice calm but authoritative. "Sir, please don't worry, I'll take care of this." She leaned down, ostensibly to help secure Liam's seatbelt and adjust his seat. In reality, she was taking stock of the boy's condition. His breathing was slow but steady, his face peaceful in deep sleep. Anna realized with a sinking feeling that the man must have administered a much stronger dose of whatever medication he'd been giving Liam, likely expecting the boy to sleep through the entire flight to Buenos Aires. "It's okay," Anna reassured the man, even as her insides churned with worry and anger. "Some children sleep very deeply on flights. I'll make sure he's secure for landing." The man nodded tersely, his eyes darting between Anna, Liam and the window, where the landscape of Panama was rapidly coming into view. The aircraft touched down with practiced precision, the familiar bump and screech of tires on tarmac filling the cabin. As passengers instinctively rose to gather their belongings, Anna's firm voice carried through the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign has been turned off. Thank you for your cooperation." Anna caught Sophia's eye across the aisle, and they shared a silent nod of understanding. They had discussed their strategy during the descent. Anna would stay close to Liam and the man, while Sophia coordinated with the other crew members to manage the deplaning process. As the plane taxied to its gate, Anna positioned herself near row 18, keeping a watchful eye on the man and the still sleeping Liam. She could see the tension in the man's posture, the way his eyes kept darting towards the exit. "Sir," Anna said, addressing the man directly, "since your son is still asleep, why don't you let the other passengers deplane first? It'll give him a chance to wake up naturally, and we can assist you if needed." The man hesitated for a moment before nodding reluctantly. Anna watched as he clutched his cabin luggage tightly, his knuckles white with tension. As the last of the regular passengers filed off the plane, Anna made a decision. "Here, let me help you with him," she offered, reaching down to carefully lift Liam from his seat. The boy didn't stir, his small body limp in her arms. They made their way slowly down the aisle, the man following closely behind, his eyes darting nervously around the now empty cabin. As they approached the aircraft door, Anna's heart began to race. She knew what was waiting on the other side. Sure enough, as they stepped onto the jet bridge, they were met by a group of plainclothes officers. One of them stepped forward, his voice firm but controlled. "Mark Trent," he said, addressing the man directly. "We need you to come with us. Step aside immediately." The man, Mark, froze, his face a mask of shock and fear. "What's this about?" he stammered, feigning confusion. "I don't understand." But his protests were cut short as the officers moved in, efficiently restraining and handcuffing him. "Mark Trent, you're under arrest for the attempted kidnapping of a minor," one of the officers stated, reading him his rights as they led him away. Anna stood there, still cradling the sleeping Liam in her arms, watching as Mark was escorted through the terminal. She thought back to the boy calling him Dad, and felt a mix of confusion and lingering fear, knowing that the immediate danger had passed, but that the ordeal wasn't over yet. As some of the officers entered the plane to begin their investigation, Anna turned to one of them. "Sir, there's evidence in the lavatory," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "A message written on the mirror." The officer nodded gratefully, making a note of her information. Anna then followed the remaining law enforcement personnel into the terminal, still carrying Liam, her heart heavy with the weight of what had almost happened, and what still lay ahead for this innocent child. Anna followed the law enforcement officers through the bustling terminal, still cradling the sleeping Liam in her arms. The boy hadn't stirred once during the commotion, a testament to how deeply he had been sedated. They were quickly ushered into a secure room within the airport, away from the curious eyes of other travelers. As they entered the room, Anna's breath caught in her throat. There, pacing anxiously, was a woman who could only be Liam's mother. Her face was a canvas of worry and profound relief as her eyes landed on her son. "Melissa Carter," one of the officers said softly, introducing the woman. "This is Anna, the flight attendant who alerted us to the situation." Melissa's eyes, brimming with tears, met Anna's. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Thank you so much." Anna carefully transferred Liam into his mother's waiting arms. The moment the boy felt his mother's embrace, even in his deep sleep, something changed. His small body seemed to relax, as if recognizing on some instinctual level that he was safe at last. As Melissa held her son close, murmuring soft words of comfort, Liam began to stir. His eyes fluttered open, confusion evident on his face as he tried to make sense of his surroundings. When his gaze landed on his mother, the confusion gave way to tears. "Mum," he croaked, his voice hoarse. "Mum, I thought I lost you. Uncle Mark said you were going to be on the plane, but you weren't there." Melissa hugged him tighter, her own tears falling freely now. "It's okay, baby. You're safe now. We're going home soon." Anna watched the reunion with a mixture of relief and lingering concern. The mention of Uncle Mark caught her attention, so the man wasn't Liam's father, as she had initially assumed, but his uncle. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fall into place, but a question remained. Why had the boy called him Dad earlier? Anna, unable to shake her curiosity, spoke up, her voice tinged with hesitation. "Excuse me, I'm sorry, but I can't help but wonder. Liam, why did you call your uncle Dad during the entire flight? I thought—" Liam looked up at her, his gaze uncertain. "Uncle Mark told me to call him Dad so we could get through people easier and meet with my mum faster. He told me not asking questions and just did as he said." Melissa gently brushed his hair and planted soft kisses on his cheeks, her touch tender and filled with affection and relief. Then the door opened and the pilot entered, followed by Sophia, other crew members, and an airline representative. A detective stepped forward, his face grave as he addressed the room. "We've questioned Mark Trent," he began, his voice low and controlled. "He's admitted to planning to take Liam to Argentina, where the boy's father currently resides. It seems the father has no legal parental rights due to a history of abuse. Is that right, Mrs. Carter?" Melissa nodded, her face etched with a mixture of anger and pain. "That's true," she said, her voice tight. "I had a feeling it might be a family member behind this when I found Liam missing from the playground. A few days ago I got a threatening message from my ex-husband about Liam. I never thought they'd go this far." She paused, swallowing hard. "Mark, we haven't seen him in years. The last time I saw him was, 5-6 years ago, at an old and New Year dinner." Anna listened, her heart aching for what this family had been through. She remembered Liam's behavior on the plane, his confusion about his mother, and it all made a terrible kind of sense now. "And you said you left him at a playground?" the detective asked. "Yes," Melissa continued, her voice trembling. Liam was taken from the playground at the shopping center where I had left him, while I ran in to do some quick grocery shopping. I thought it was a safe space, the kind where the kids wear registration bracelets. The detective nodded sympathetically. You did the right thing by reporting it immediately. Your quick action and the alert flight crew helped prevent what could have been a much worse outcome. I recommend you report this to the authorities in Miami when you get back. They can look into the situation at the playground. As the group discussed the next steps, Anna couldn't help but marvel at how close they had come to losing Liam. If she hadn't noticed those small details, if she hadn't trusted her instincts. Their conversation was interrupted by a commotion outside. Through the glass panel of the door, Anna could see Mark being led past by police officers. Melissa's face hardened at the sight of him, and she instinctively pulled Liam closer. Unable to contain herself, Melissa stood up, still holding Liam, and moved towards the door. As Mark passed by, she called out, her voice trembling with anger and hurt. "How dare you?" she cried. "He's my son, not yours or his." Mark turned, his face twisting into a sneer. "He belongs with his father," he spat back. "You can't keep him away forever." The officers quickly hustled Mark away, but his words hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the danger Liam had been in. The airline representative stepped forward, his face etched with concern. "We're arranging separate return flights," he explained. "Mr. Trent will be transported back to Miami for processing, while we'll ensure Ms. Carter and Liam have a safe, comfortable flight home." The detective nodded in agreement. "Ms. Carter, we'll need you to provide a formal statement once you're back in Miami. And Ms. Hensley," he added, turning to Anna, "we'll need your statement as well, along with those of your crew members." Anna nodded, still processing the whirlwind of events. As she recounted her observations to the detective, from the first sighting at the airport to the discovery of the message in the lavatory, she felt a mix of relief that it was over, and lingering concern for Liam and his mother. As the formal proceedings wound down, Anna couldn't help but feel a deep connection to this small family that had been through so much. She knew that her role in their story was coming to an end, but she hoped that for Liam and Melissa, this was the beginning of a safer, happier chapter. As the detective finished taking Anna's statement, an officer approached, suggesting they could take over the care of Liam and Melissa. To her own surprise, Anna found herself speaking up. "If it's all right," she said, her voice calm despite her exhaustion, "I'd like to stay with them until their flight. I feel responsible for them." She turned to the airline management crew. "And if I may, I would like to complete my remaining hour serving on the aircraft. They'll be boarding back to Miami." The captain, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "I think that's a good idea," he said, nodding approvingly. "Anna's been with them from the start, and a familiar face might be comforting." The airline's ground team quickly approved the arrangement, appreciating Anna's dedication to passenger welfare. As the officers and airline representatives dispersed to handle various aspects of the situation, Anna found herself alone with Melissa and Liam in the quiet of the airline office. Melissa was busy filling out paperwork for their new flights, her pen moving swiftly across the forms. Liam, now fully awake but still groggy from the medication, stayed close to his mother. His small hand clutched the hem of her shirt, as if afraid she might disappear if he let go. Anna watched their interactions, noting the gentle way Melissa would pause her writing to stroke Liam's hair or whisper a soft word of comfort. It was a stark contrast to the controlling behavior she had observed from Mark on the plane. As Melissa signed the last form, she looked up at Anna with tired eyes. "They said it'll be about 3 hours until our flight," she said, her voice laced with exhaustion. Anna nodded sympathetically. "Why don't we head to the airport lounge?" she suggested. "It'll be quieter there and more comfortable. Plus," she added, looking at Liam with a gentle smile, "I bet someone's hungry after missing lunch." At the mention of food, Liam's eyes lit up slightly. It was the first sign of the cheerful boy Anna had glimpsed at the beginning of this long day. "That sounds wonderful," Melissa agreed, gathering their few belongings. "Thank you, Anna, for everything." As they made their way through the airport, Anna couldn't help but reflect on the extraordinary events of the day. In her 8 years as a flight attendant, she had never experienced anything like this. Yet here she was, extending her already long day to ensure the safety and comfort of this small family. The quiet comfort of the airport lounge was a welcome respite after the tension of the past few hours. Anna watched as Melissa helped Liam select food from the buffet, gently encouraging him to try different things. The boy's movements were still slow, the effects of the sedation not fully worn off, but his eyes were clearer now, focused entirely on his mother, as if afraid she might disappear again. As they settled into comfortable chairs with their food, a representative from the airline's corporate office approached. He introduced himself and turned to Anna with a warm smile. "Ms. Hensley," he said, his voice filled with genuine appreciation, "I wanted to personally thank you for your alertness and quick thinking today. Your actions potentially saved a child's life. The company will be formally recognizing your exceptional service." Anna felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "I just did what anyone would do," she insisted. "I'm just glad Liam is safe now." As the representative moved away, Anna turned her attention back to Liam and Melissa. She noticed subtle changes in the boy as time passed. His shoulders, which had been tense and hunched, began to relax. Occasional silly grins appeared on his face, especially when interacting with his mother. These small signs of recovery touched Anna deeply, reminding her of the joyful child she had first seen dancing in the check-in line. As their departure time approached, Anna noticed Liam's grip on his mother's hand had loosened. He had started to wander around the lounge, his natural curiosity seemingly returning. It was a heartening sight, a sign that despite the trauma he had endured, the resilience of childhood was already at work. Melissa caught Anna watching and gave her a grateful smile. In that moment, Anna felt the full weight of what they had all been through, and the incredible responsibility she had shouldered. She had not just done her job today, she had changed lives. As they prepared to leave the lounge and head to their gate, Anna knew that her part in this story was coming to an end. But she also knew that she would never forget Liam, Melissa, or the day that reminded her just how important her job could be. As the announcement for their flight home echoed through the airport terminal, Anna found herself accompanying Melissa and Liam to their gate. The past few hours in the lounge had brought a noticeable change in Liam. The effects of the sedatives had worn off, and glimpses of his true personality were shining through. Anna watched as Liam tugged on his mother's hand, pointing excitedly at the planes visible through the large windows. His eyes were bright with curiosity, a far cry from the subdued child she had first encountered on the flight. "Mom, look, that one's huge," Liam exclaimed. His face pressed against the glass as he watched a jumbo jet taxi down the runway. Melissa smiled, a mixture of relief and joy on her face as she watched her son's enthusiasm. She turned to Anna, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "I can't thank you enough," Melissa said, her voice thick with emotion. "You saved my son's life. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't noticed him." Anna felt a lump form in her throat. "Liam's safety is all the thanks I need," she replied softly. "I'm just glad I could help." As they approached the gate, Anna realized that her journey with Liam and Melissa was coming to an end. She had been cleared to accompany them on the flight home, a gesture from the airline in recognition of her role in the day's events. The boarding process began, and Anna found herself falling back into her professional role, assisting Melissa and Liam with their carry-on bags and guiding them to their seats. As she helped Liam with his seatbelt, she couldn't help but marvel at how different this moment was compared to their first encounter on the ill-fated flight to Buenos Aires. "So, Liam, is this your first time flying?" Anna asked Liam, echoing her question from earlier that day, but with a wink. This time, Liam's response was enthusiastic. "No, this is my second time, and it's way better because Mum's here." Anna chuckled, her heart warming at the boy's excitement. "Well, I think that calls for something special," she said with a smile. She excused herself and made her way to the back of the plane, returning moments later with a small gift, a wooden puzzle in the shape and colors of the airplane. "This is for our special second-time flyer," Anna said, presenting the gift to Liam. The boy's face lit up as he accepted the puzzle, immediately beginning to examine its pieces. "Thank you," he exclaimed, his earlier trauma seemingly forgotten in the face of this new adventure. As Anna moved down the aisle to assist other passengers, she found her mind drifting back to the events of the day. The weight of the red Crocs, once just a cheerful detail that had caught her eye, now represented something far more significant. It was a reminder that sometimes the smallest observations could have the most profound impact. The captain's voice came over the intercom, announcing their imminent departure. Anna took her position for the pre-flight safety demonstration, her eyes occasionally drifting to Liam and Melissa. She saw Liam mimicking her movements as she demonstrated how to fasten the seatbelt, his face serious with concentration. As the plane began to taxi, Anna felt a sense of closure settling over her. She had started this day like any other, expecting nothing more than a routine flight to Buenos Aires. Instead, she had played a crucial role in reuniting a family and potentially saving a child from a terrible fate. The aircraft lifted off smoothly, climbing into the night sky. Anna watched as the lights of Panama City grew smaller below them, each twinkling point a reminder of the countless lives intersecting in ways both large and small. As she began the in-flight service, Anna found herself pausing at Liam and Melissa's row. Liam was engrossed in his puzzle, his tongue sticking out slightly in concentration as he tried to fit the pieces together. Melissa watched him with a mixture of love and lingering concern, her hand resting protectively on his shoulder. "Everything okay here?" Anna asked softly. Melissa looked up, a genuine smile spreading across her face. "Yes, thanks to you," she replied. "We're going home." Anna nodded, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. As she continued down the aisle, serving other passengers and attending to their needs, she carried with her a renewed sense of purpose. Her job wasn't just about serving drinks or demonstrating safety procedures. It was about being observant, trusting her instincts, and sometimes being the difference between a tragedy and a happy ending. The flight continued uneventfully, the cabin filled with the soft hum of the engines and the quiet conversations of passengers. As they neared their destination, Anna found herself making one last pass through the cabin. She paused again at Liam's row, smiling as she saw the completed puzzle proudly displayed on his tray table. "Well done," she praised, earning a beaming smile from Liam. As the captain announced their final descent, Anna returned to her station, her mind already drifting to the future. She knew that tomorrow she would be back on another flight, greeting new passengers and facing new challenges. But she also knew that she would carry this day with her always, a reminder of the importance of her role and the potential impact of even the smallest actions. The plane touched down smoothly, the familiar bump and screech of tires on tarmac signaling the end of their journey. As passengers began to gather their belongings and file off the plane, Anna stood by the exit, offering her final farewells. When Liam and Melissa reached the door, the boy surprised Anna with a quick hug around her waist. "Thank you for the puzzle," he said, his voice muffled against her uniform. Anna knelt down to his level, her eyes meeting his. "You're very welcome, Liam," she said softly. "Have a wonderful time at home with your mum." As she watched them walk down the jet bridge, hand in hand, Anna felt a sense of completion. The day that had started with a simple observation, a boy in red Crocs, had turned into one of the most significant of her career. With a deep breath, Anna turned back to the cabin, ready to assist the remaining passengers. As she did, she caught sight of her reflection in one of the overhead compartment doors. The face looking back at her was tired but satisfied, the eyes shining with the knowledge of a job well done. In that moment, Anna knew that while this particular story had come to an end, her role as a guardian of the skies would continue, and she would approach each flight, each passenger, with the same care and attention that had made all the difference today.